Now that we joined when the world has evolved, we shouldn't compare ourselves to drag so long to improve our democracy. Rather, we should be on the fast lane to meet up, to provide the rules, the laws that will help Nigeria, that our elections will be very seamless. And the results, we can push our electoral system that we can have our results within 6 hours in the day. And as such, from the content of this reenactment, we can see that the items, issues that will help us resolve the election in a very short time. And as such, I'm lending my voice to support this so that we'll have our elections transmitted appropriately. There should be no problem of beavers and network and all the rest of them. I so submit that we repeal this Electoral Act and reenact with this current amendment we have at our hands. I so submit, Mr. President.
Everybody spoke in unison. I haven't heard anyone who says he doesn't want a transparent election. If we all do, not from our lips, but from our heart, and we decide to remove violence and convince ourselves that the Nigerian people deserve to hire and fire without fear or favor on election day, at least after every 4 years, we will, even under the current law, we will have free, fair, transparent election. However, that said, I want also not to throw away everything that has been done before. If we compare the last election and even the one before it to the election of 2003, where we saw policemen in uniform carrying ballot boxes in front pages of newspapers. Between that time, 2003, where Yaradua complained about a process that threw him up that he was ashamed to accept, but he has to accept in order to avoid national crisis. And I believe he was right. May so rest in peace. I think between that time and now, we have to be fair to INEC. They have introduced measures, including the ones we are talking about now, such as beavers, such as even PVC. PVC was not there in 2023. At every election, I have seen innovation.
Time up.
Excuse me. I wasn't told any time, but I'm going to round up. I'm going to round up. We have only one president here. Let nobody assist him. Just rounding up, since some people have said so, even though they don't have authority, so to say, including my in-laws, I just want to say that the beauty of democracy is not the fact that you find yourself occupying an important elective office. It is the feeling in your heart that people actually, in their free will, found you worthy to be their voice and to entrust our collective patrimony in your hands to manage, to deliver the greatest good to the greatest number. That for me is the beauty. If you achieve it by the aim of, by through rigging or other manipulation, deep in your heart, you know that you are not a happy person. Therefore, I wish to say the following. First, we should resolve, each and every one of us, and also collectively, that as elected persons, we as senators shall not, directly or indirectly, secretly or openly, aid and abet unemployed or semi-employed people and arm them to disrupt election. If we reform our character, this problem is 90% solved. In Edo State, sir, I launched 1 man, 1 vote, 1 woman, 1 vote. At the end of the day, and as of today, it is now possible to do election without cutting dead bodies. It wasn't so before, because we convinced everybody that there is no merit in taking election or conducting an election as if it is a state of war. That said, the last thing we must look at critically is the issue of technology.
There is no doubt, as has been said, that if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, it is the issue of how we sustain and deepen and ring-fence the electoral system. Because if that fails, then we will only be a democracy in name. We'll only be a democracy in name. And it's a great shame, it's a shame, that election period after election period, we seem to be regressing. I know that in this country, in 2007, President Yaradua, right there on the inaugural podium, restated his determination to review the electoral system that brought him into office. After Yaradua, 2015, a sitting president who appeared to be losing without even waiting for the final tally to be called, President Jonathan, and by the way, from the great state of Bayelsa too, made that historic call. And I was there in the room with him. The effort was to deepen and elevate Nigeria's democracy. And thereafter, 2019, we didn't see how that improved our system. So in some way, without casting blame or pointing fingers, we appear not to have built on the momentum that has been established.
Because I recall I've been close to most of the presidents since 1999. And I recall in 2007 when I won as a governor, our then president, may so rest in peace, President Yaradua, had to come out publicly to say that the election that brought him as president was totally flawed. I don't know whether you know that. He said it, that it was totally flawed, that the election was full of inconsistencies and rigging. Since then, we have plugged the hole. So now, imagine this last election. We had to go up to Supreme Court, arguing as to whether winning the Federal Capital Territory was the only reason why you should become president. Instead of FCT being counted as a state for the purpose of calculation the 2/3, people are saying, no, win FCT and then you have won presidency. So you can lose in 36 states of the federation, but once you win FCT, that automatically you have become president. And they wasted time. They had panels upon panels in different television studios, and at the end of the day, we got to Supreme Court and back. Common sense could have told us that that was not the intent of the Electoral Act. So we can only do our best. Nigerians will still do mischief, and for those of us from Anambra, we know that there are people who travel abroad during election, crafting papers, and immediately after the election, they go to court. And they would submit papers that you can't even fault. And then suddenly you find them inside the Senate. We now read the second time, say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.